outpatient physical therapy alone is a $30 billion industry. In fact, some economists you talk to will say it's actually closer to $60 or $70 billion just in outpatient alone. Hey everybody, it's Ben with UpDoc Media, and we are back from the first half of fall conference season, and boy, are there news bits to share with you. So I had the privilege of being able to attend the fall NARA conference by the National Association of Rehabilitation Providers and Agencies and WebPT's Ascend conference, which is a rehab therapy business-oriented summit, and they were also celebrating their 10-year company anniversary, which was fantastic. And there are some themes and some scary themes, some scary developments, but a lot of really interesting opportunities in this next evolution of healthcare that I wanted to share, and we as a team are excited to see come around. Theme number one, value-based care. You heard it right. You've been hearing it a lot. I mean, we've been saying value for what seems like ever, like 2 generations of health providers. But we're finally there. We're at the cusp of where healthcare is truly going to pivot into a value-based environment. For those of you that have been catching up on MIPS and what Medicare is doing, they are going to be rolling out a budget-neutral value-based system where there's a little bit more risk share and risk gain involved, up to 7% more than what they otherwise would have earned if they're the top tier performers. But that also means if you're not pumping out good, valuable healthcare services and outcomes, you might take a 7% ding. Because of the strong shift to value over volume, there's a big push by many of our industry leaders to really rethink about how we conceive of, implement, practice, and otherwise promote our top of license practice patterns. Instead of just going in and becoming technicians, many of our business and industry leaders are encouraging us at all levels to really consider what practicing at the top of our license actually means. And this goes for everyone at all levels of healthcare provision, not just for rehab therapy alone, but specifically for physical therapy, for occupational therapy, and for speech language pathology. We have to really nail down what value means to the provider, to the patient, and to the payer in that triple aim, and deliver happy, healthy, cost-effective services. So theme number 3, some economic realities. Many of us were happy to see that Medicare repealed their therapy cap. Many of us were also not so pleased to see that there was a 25% payment reduction for physical therapist assistants and for occupational therapist assistants. Those are kind of the battlegrounds that we're in right now. And this is already underway. We have to come up with strategies on how to deal with it. And so there were some thoughts in these conferences on some formulaic approaches on who should see who when for the best operational margins. Now, while that's the case, and that's true in terms of the accounting for today, it may not serve best if we use that for the accounting of tomorrow. After all, we're pivoting to value-based care. So it's not just about making sure we have margins today. We have to be able to prove tomorrow that the overarching quality of products that we give out, the product being our services, our rehab therapy services, are actually producing the value that we say that we're going to deliver. Just because there's some short-term economic realities that we have to face that we weren't exactly happy with, doesn't mean that we suddenly abandon ship and start restaffing left and right. There's actually some harsh warnings given by our industry leaders during the first half of fall conference season that now is not the time to freak out, but now is the time to talk to your teams about what's coming around the corner and come up with solutions together on what we can do moving forward. Speaking of moving forward, theme number 4, innovation needed. I had the privilege of giving a talk at the Fall NARA conference on leadership innovation in the face of disruption, and I think we can all agree right now is a time of disruption, but honestly, healthcare has always been disruptive. Those of us that look back into the mid-90s, we see disruption everywhere, and it's constantly been disrupted and constantly will be disrupted because of technology, because of social dynamics, and because of the economy. So what do we do then? What do we do in the face of disruption? We can't just sail our ship in the same direction that it's always been successful, because the very nature of disruption means that that direction will no longer be successful. What I encourage everybody to do in my leadership innovation talk was this. You need to go back to your teams. And you need to go back to your teams and get their input, not on where success is found, but where failure is at risk. Many times for most organizations, big, small, mom and pop, well-established enterprises, for-profit, not-for-profit, doesn't really matter because people are people. And people work best in teams when we're not telling each other what to do, but when we're empowering each other towards success. And the way that can look is not necessarily this is what you must do, but let me tell you how you might fail. That way you can choose how you want to succeed. And this works very well when it comes to an agile management component. There's a lot that can be said about agile management processes, but the best way to describe it is you're going to get a lot more work done, a lot more quality work done if you swim like a pod of dolphins rather than cruise like an ocean liner. Finally, theme number 5, keep calm, we're still here. And we're going to be here for quite some time. If you look back at the history of healthcare disruption, even as early as the 80s, things have been changing, and quite honestly, changing quite rapidly. And even throughout human history, the idea of changing medical disciplines into an economized healthcare system is rather new to the human condition. So we're still learning about what we need to do to make this thing work and work well. So while we're at it, it's really, really easy to be negative. It's really easy to catastrophize about how everything is changing and it's never going to be the same again. But you know what? It's even better to be opportunistic. There's so much opportunity around. Physical therapy alone, outpatient physical therapy alone, is a $30 billion industry. In fact, some economists you talk to will say it's actually closer to $60 or $70 billion just in outpatient alone. And of that, we only have 10 to 25% market share. So truly, our industry could very well be a $300 billion plus industry. We just need to capture it. We just need to get the word out. We just need to show our value in a meaningful way to our consumer base, be them patients or payers or stakeholders at large. And this is where we really have to focus. We really have to focus on wrapping everything around the changes that are coming, not what we want it to stay at. The fact of the matter is this. Technology is everywhere, and human behavior in terms of consumption are changing. There are a lot of people, a lot of patients that prefer to be contacted on digital means. There's also a good group of them that want that physical touch. So really, we're at a cusp of delivering the right service to the right patient, by the right provider, at the right time, for the right action, and the best outcomes. And that's going to require a lot of agility, a lot of nimbleness, whether we're a large organization, a small organization, because we're all part of this one system together. And to succeed, we're going to have to innovate on top of some of the risks that we're going to have to take bets on and take smart bets on to make that big win. So thanks for joining me for this first half fall conference, kind of sum up, wrap up video. I'm Ben Fung with UpDoc Media, the content you need to know delivered with clinical precision. I will see you next time.